Okay, hello everyone. We are back. Now we are jumping into panel sessions. So today we have the awesome panelists. So one more time, we are covering a lot of different topics, but this time will be the Agile project management and connection to the PMO. We'll be exploring innovative strategies, do's and don'ts by gathering insight from our esteemed experts in this field. Our distinguished panelists will bring a wealth of knowledge and experience, each from unique perspective, which is the beauty of this panel. They're here to foster a lively discussion filled out with the actionable takeaways. With any further delay, let me introduce all of them. Aina Alive, or Aliva, so she has more than 10 years of experience in a business transformation and agility. She's the founder of Be Agile Now. She's the Forbes Couch's council member. She's the Woman in Tech ambassador, and she's the author of the book that I bought yesterday, and it's called "It Starts with You." So letters to my younger self. So we'll chat about that later. So thank you, Aina, and welcome.
Thank you,
The
Milan.
next, thank you. So then we have Hussein Bandukwala. He's a PMOpreneur. He's the coach of the PMO leaders. He's very well known on his link on the LinkedIn since he has two awesome PMO courses. I think they're top PMO courses on LinkedIn Learning, and I'm definitely encourage all of you to take them. So one is called How to Successfully Lead a PMO, and the second one is Setting Up a PMO. He's serving Fortune 50 companies around the globe, and he's the founder of the Parvas Consulting since 2014. Our third panelist is Carl Canlas, or Dr. Carl. His expertise is in the cybersecurity, AI, web development. He's currently focused on the research in the effective leadership development. He's the adjunct professor of the Brigham Young University. He has the PhD in the information technology with dissertation in the project management. He is also the author, and I saw that you just published this book, Carl, and it's called The Effective IT Project Manager. It's really nice, and I ordered that one. It says will come on Thursday evening, so I'm really happy to read that book. And I can tell you that you could put a higher price. So $5 is nothing for the book. That's worth like that. So we hope that our fourth panelist will join us soon. He had some emergency, so hopefully Raul Khanna, who is the expert in the IT principal consultant and certified by Microsoft Okta and SailPoint will join us at any moment. So I don't want to take time anymore. Welcome one more time, and let's start the discussion. I think that everyone is eager to hear your thoughts and what you think about the topic that we have today. So Aina, let's start with you. So we know that Agile is definitely, or it was hypered and it's still, and everybody's talking about that, implementing that one. So my question is, or my thoughts are, is Agile changing as well? Is the Agile? So it's adopting. So what do you think? What are the core principles of Agile that have remained steadfast over the years and how they contributed to the evolving landscape of the project management?
Oh, that's a great question, Milan. I love it. Is agile is still agile? And honestly, I don't know because a definition of agile is to be flexible no matter what and use common sense instead of bureaucracy and a rigid mindset. However, in the last 20 years, I've seen so many wars related to agile on LinkedIn platform and any other platforms, and also during the different panels. Like agile is a methodology, but under agile we have frameworks such as Scrum, Agile, two main ones. And unfortunately for many, Scrum is equal to Agile, and they use these terms interchangeably. So especially if I come to the organization and start talking about Agile, and people reply to me, "Oh, okay, thank you about this, but in our case, Scrum is different." Okay, I was talking to Agile. I didn't say anything about Scrum, but for people, it's the same, unfortunately. So, is Agile still Agile? Depends. For those who are like purely implementing it, definitely is the same. But for those who've been watching a few videos on YouTube and maybe attended few conferences, maybe it's something like religious war, like everything else here on the internet. And the second part of the question, the principles which are remain the same. So from my opinion, like first of all, embracing the change, because no matter if you are like agile or bringing any other methodology, maybe like future methodology, it's change. So being open to change and also navigating change properly, definitely it's not enough just to be open to change. You need to lead your organization through the change properly. It's something what I believe remains agile and will be remain in agile. Customer collaboration, customer focus. No, agile is focusing on involving customers, throughout the development process to make sure that we are delivering the right products to our customer. We might have the best project ever, completing it like twice less timeline and save twice cost, but then nobody's going to buy it. So what was the purpose of this project? It's still a waste. But if we deliver right product, that is where the key is. So this one is definitely what is going to remain in agile. And the third one, self-organizing teams. Because like in the ancient world, or not that ancient, even 100 years ago, we had like manual workers. So micromanaging maybe was the key to success because manual work is boring and people were like coming for money. So it was hard to motivate these people other than paying them more and micromanage them. But in Agile, we work with IT projects mainly. I'm not talking about Agile like outside of the world. Like Agile is mainly for IT. So in IT, we use intellectual work. And for intellectual work, micromanaging definitely is not a key. So we need to have motivated people and self-organized teams to get success.
That's great. So really, really appreciate your perspective. So definitely we are getting there and giving the receiving the insight from your side. So Carl, what do you think? Is the organization agile? So what do you think about the what Aina mentioned? And is the organization agile if they have the Scrum stand up? Is that enough or not?
Yeah, thank you, Milan. I think I'm just going to build on what Aina have mentioned about the four principles, the values, and the origin of agile methodology. I'm here in Utah right now, and as we all know, that the 17 developers have met in a ski resort here in Utah, and it's been about 20, 25 plus years now, and question is, has it changed? I think it's still true to its principles. I mean, there's some minor modifications, such as adding product goals and sprint goals, but I think the best part about agile is that it's it really is almost created for remote environment or hybrid, because software, unlike other industries, you can just pull out your laptop and do your work. And so if you apply agile to other industries, definitely it's going to work in a hybrid or remote environment. I think what I would like to emphasize more is the tracking and reporting on progress. I think when we say agile, sometimes people may forget about KPIs, key performance indicators, and reports, but we are accountable to that. And so with asynchronous communication, we don't have to be in the same room. We just have to make sure that everybody's informed, keep our stakeholders engaged, and track and report our progress. I think that's the biggest emphasis with Agile right now.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Carl. Thank you. I'm reading comments right now, and I see really nice comments from Mark Burnett. It says, "Thank you, Alina." And agility. I like the idea that agility encapsulates common sense too. So question for you, Hussein. Does that mean that traditional or non-agile doesn't have common sense or it's not using? So what do you think? How do you manage the balance between agility and stability, especially in a larger, more complex projects?
Thanks, Milan. I think that's a great question. I think that agility, and again, to make and emphasize on the fact that this is agility with a small a. I think as I'm reading in the comments as well, and as Aina and Carl already mentioned, agility means speed, means flexible, means being nimble. And in order for you to be agile with a small a, you've got to be able to achieve stability first, right? If you have a small child who's learning how to walk, he can't run. He needs to be able to walk, become stable there, and then excel. If you are learning a specific coding language and developing in it, you can't be fast in it before you're not stable in it. Similarly, in order for you to be able to excel at managing projects and be able to run them in an agile manner, where you not only be able to make things move quickly, but also course correct and change as a unit quickly, you've got to be able to be stable first. And the stability in those organizations, especially for large complex projects, is where you've got solid processes, solid people, solid tools, and solid communication, right? That has to be in place. And again, the solid here doesn't mean it has to be highly mature or extremely complex in nature. It means it's clear and everybody is bought in and everybody is consistently doing it. So, for instance, if there is a change management project, a change management process for a project, it could be a three-step process with a one-page template, but everybody is using it, right? Similarly, if you've got a project schedule that you've got for that complex program and you have multiple projects within it, everybody's following the same concept. If you have risk management for that program or that project and everybody's aligned to the definitions of risks, issues, what the impact is, what the probability is, everybody understands what red, amber, green means, everybody's aligned there, everybody's on the same page, and you can move quickly. So stability is the bedrock, the foundation on which agility needs to be built. And in today's day and age, where you've got to be able to make decisions quickly, respond to situations, and not go ahead and take a lot of time stuck in analysis paralysis, agility is needed. So, in any organization, small, medium, large, no matter what type of project, let's focus on building the stability first. And then once we've mastered that, then go ahead and build agility on top of it.
Okay, nice approach. So, Aina, do you agree with the perspective that Hussein mentioned? Start with stability, and then let's see on the top of it how we can be agile and what we can encompass that one. Or your approach would be the opposite one.
Oh,
Agility
unfortunately,
first and then stability.
unfortunately, I would agree to Hussein, and why I say unfortunately, because normally it's more fun to see when people are disagreeing.
Yes.
I'm fully aligned with what Hussein just said, because we can't improve and bring clarity when we are in chaos. And like when we are like starting changing like from waterfall to agile or just like bring agility, we are in chaos, big or small, it depends on the organization. But to improve and to progress, we need to calm down this chaos, meaning we need to stabilize what Hussein just said. And to stabilize, we need clarity. And also, I want to add on the top to Hussein's speech, I already started talking about common sense, and to expand on that, connection with the reality also will help large organizations to succeed. And I'm a contractor, so I've changed large enterprises quite often. So I have many cases. I won't call any like name of the organization, but I will give you examples when I work with AAVP or VP, so senior leaders in the organization, and I also collaborate with people who are using these products, either it's like bank or retail companies, whatever. So like people like outside, like on the street in the cafe, they're telling me that these products are a disaster and kind of like good luck working for this organization. I hope you can change something. And definitely, I don't like speak the words like our product is a disaster. But when I speak to like VP or any other senior leader, like people actually don't like our products. They're shocked because they genuinely believe that the products we are providing are good and we need to continue with them. And I sometimes I see that it hurts them so much. So I even like don't continue and say, okay, maybe I exaggerated, maybe I didn't understand, but I didn't. So what I realized, they're like so much disconnected with the reality. So they need someone to bring them together with their users.
That's great. So speaking about that one, who is the one who need to bring them to the reality and connect them? So let's connect the story about the Agile project management and the PMO. So where is that connection? Does that connection exist at all? So Carl, so what do you think? Is there any connection, and what's the future of the connection between the Agile project management and PMO, especially if we are speaking about 2023 when everything is remote and pretty much in a hybrid mode?
I would say that there's going to be an increased usage of hybrid methodology. I think Agile won't be your um, bullet that would solve all your problems. I've seen a lot of case studies that would say, hey, we're doing Agile, as you mentioned a while ago, we're doing the stand-ups, we're doing lessons, lessons feedback, retrospectives, and all of the ceremonies. But I feel like just because you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So I think Agile has to be used when needed, and then there are some cases for traditional as well. Now when we're setting up our PMO, or if we have an established PMO, we should be definitely open to traditional, waterfall predictive, agile, and at the same time hybrid approach. One thing that I would emphasize though that agile brings to the table is that once we hire all of these smart people into our company, we should empower them to really become self-managing teams, because I've seen a lot of PMOs that maybe they try to control the output, or they overstate what should be expected without ever releasing the genius of everyone within the company, or whoever that they have employed. So I think PMOs should be hiring and firing fast, but at the same time, let them be decentralized decision making, empower your teams, and you'll see agile work within these PMOs.
Thank you, Carl, for that. Thank you for that connection and bringing it together, because there are different thoughts and we're all facing with that. This is the agile world, this is the traditional world. From pretty much PMO face with this side, which is traditional, and there are a lot of companies or a lot of people saying no, we cannot mix those two. So there is, you are working on one project, and that can be the agile. You can implement Scrum or have some elements of some agile framework, and they consider themselves as an agile, but they're not scaling that one through organization to the other departments, to the other teams. And what do you think, Hussein? Is that the role of the PMO? Can the role of the PMO be exactly that? So what are your presentations and your LinkedIn courses? Are they strictly SaaS or connected to the certain framework methodology, how to set a PMO? Or what is the mindset that people should have there?
So, Milan, my fundamental belief is that the PMO is essentially an entity, role, or function within an organization that helps you do the right things by the right people at the right time in the right way. Lots of rights in there, but it's all very, very subjective, right? Now, the situation is that the project management office or the PMO needs to ensure that things are happening consistently and transparently. Consistency is key, right? And so, no matter what methodology that is adopted, it is agnostic of what the role of a PMO is, in my opinion. It's like saying, no, we're just going to be an IT shop that's just going to do, Python. or Java or C or C sharp or whatever, right? Or a financial system that's just going to say, you know what, we're just going to be focused on this specific system or this specific approach. Methodology and PMOs need to be separated. PMOs can certainly ensure and be a guidance in making sure that whatever methodology that is right for the company, and to Carl's point, it could be a mixture. It could be waterfall for certain projects, it could be hybrid for certain projects, it could be agile for certain projects. Within agile, you could have a variety of different things that are going on. But whatever it is that is right for the project, for the organization, the PMO must provide the standards, the governance, and maybe execution support for it, right? Some of it needs to be top down, especially in organizations where the PMO is coming up from, is being set up from ground up. But in more mature organizations where the PMO already exists, then it must just provide a governance piece. Where it needs to step in is a project which claims to be doing agile but is actually doing hybrid, or a project which claims to be hybrid but is in fact being waterfall. That's where you start calling them out. And then not just calling them out, but providing a support to necessarily identify, okay, you're clearly not doing what you're saying you're doing. What would you like to do? What is in your best interest? How can we help you get back on the right track? Right. So the fact that people start mixing up PMO's role with methodology, or even sort of pretend that a PMO and a methodology must exist independent of each other, is something that I don't really, settle a lot with. Right? I do believe fundamentally that methodologies are just one component of the role of a PMO. And then based on the nature of the organization, based on the maturity of the people that exist within it, based on the type of projects, all of that can be sorted out. And PMO can certainly definitely take the leadership role in that.
Thank you. Thank you for this detailed explanation. Now things are becoming a little bit more clear. So speaking about that, Aina, did you have any experience that you, as someone who is there to implement Agile, uh, either methodology, framework, values, however we want to call them today, in some organization, you worked with a PMO and you collaborated with them within the same company or maybe on the same project or program or portfolio?
Yeah, great question. So I've been working with the organizations where we had PMO, but I was a Scrum Master at that time, not an Agile coach. So I had no visibility on what they are doing and no connection with them, like official. Since I'm a very people-oriented person, so sooner or later I have friends across the organization. So that was my only way to connect to PMO, only when I became friends with PMO leaders and we started going to lunch and share what I am doing from Agile perspective and what they are doing from PMO perspective. And appeared that we have so many things like in line together and want to improve, but we've been working in silos, like we've been working for different organizations. So lunch connection actually helped to bring agility and PMO together. That's the
That's good.
first
So
story. And the second,
informal communication help you, right?
yes. And the second story is when we didn't have a PMO, but we had agile portfolio management, which is like very similar to a PMO, but more like on the agile way. And so in this case, I became an agile coach already. So I was like directly like hands on helping to set up agile project management and start implementing the practices across the organization.
That's great. That is bringing us to the next question. So, and I will share you my thoughts from my experience that I have and where can Agile go to some industry where no one expected? So question for you, Carl. I will show on a stage and I'm encouraging everybody to put questions in Q&A session so we can show them on the screen. So the question is, how can Agile methodologies be adopted for the industries that have strict compliance and regulatory requirements, such as healthcare and finance? So, Carl, any thoughts on this?
That's a really good question, Karsten. I think the foundation of Agile is to to make sure that it works for your certain industry or company. I am a software developer engineer when I started, and then currently right now I am an auditor. And so when you mention about healthcare or finance, I think there has to be parts where it can become agile. So when you mention about strict compliance and regulatory, let's say that's waterfall. So maybe requirements gathering, maybe your output or your working products cannot be fitted to a 2 to 4 week iteration. But definitely you can make an agile your meetings, you can definitely adopt the stand-ups. You can create a prioritized backlog. You can have your backlog grooming. You can also have lessons learned or retrospectives. And also, if in case your healthcare or finance will produce an output maybe every 6 months, then maybe you can put phases, iterative phases that can be adopted, and you can release some sort of a working product or a prototype that can work. And so, I guess short answer would be there are parts within healthcare and finance that you can interject and put in the agile methodologies or concepts and still make it work. And so, I would say that for any industry, any organizations, agile is totally applicable. Now, is it going to be 100% agile implementation? Maybe that's where you can modify. And the magic word right now with Pinbox 7th edition is tailoring. And so definitely tailor it within your organization. The same case with audits. We do finance and IT audits, and it's a very highly regulated industry. We also have a lot of financial transformations, digital transformations. There are certain parts where you can definitely adopt the agile concepts. So I guess I'm selling agile right now, but I also have waterfall as our part of the game.
That's great. So we do not need to pick the side, right? So we need, as mentioned in the comments, and as Hussein mentioned, we should be agnostic of the methodology, right? And see what's the best fit for that organization, for the problem they want to solve, and doesn't need to be on the high level. So let's start with a small changes, small pieces. But you mentioned one thing, Carl, that intrigued me. And Carlson, I hope that Carl give you the answer, but Hussein can also reply to this one, and let's see what are his thoughts on the question that was posted.
Yeah, I think that was a great question, and I think Carl had a fantastic answer. It's really just trying to understand whether you can, whether you're trying to, fit a square peg in a round hole, right? If it's not happening, it's not working out. There's no need to go for a 100% agile implementation where it's not required. To Carl's point, let's focus on the tailoring and make sure that whatever it is that you need to be agile with a small a, being fast, being nimble, being able to quickly adjust to things and adjusting to the needs. Let's focus on that and make sure that we're able to go ahead and hit our project targets.
Thank you, Hussein. So you mentioned one thing that I want to go back now. So you can reply, and then I would like to hear Aina's feedback. Is there 100% of the agile implementation? Does that exist, and how you measure that?
So I think that exists. I think in organizations and industries which have really initiated, the concept of agile, things along the lines of, software development, IT, 100% agile does exist. It works. It works for them. And, even in organizations that are creating brand new products, whether even if they're not IT, but are require iterative development and improvement, agile matters, agile works. And so I think where again, going back to the fundamentals of agile, where there is room for changing of scope, and that is accepted, and that the end product is constantly evolving, it works, right? And so with that in mind, yes, 100% agile does exist in those situations.
Great.
Whether
So
it's
that
startups,
means
whether it's proof of concept situations, whether it's groomed IT projects, and groomed IT companies which are rolling out new products. It definitely works.
Right. That means that leaders who are deciding which approach they want to take, they need to answer or ask questions or ask themselves first. What is the product? What is the problem that we want to solve? How we want to solve it? How fast? What is the what? How fast we want to have a communication, the changes, the market, the impact, and everything else. And based on that, select one or the another, or one from the umbrella of the frameworks methodologies. So your thoughts,
Absolutely. And
Aina?
Milan, if I could just quickly add to that,
Sure.
right? You're absolutely right. And again, the answer is not achieving 100% agile. The achieving is the goal is to achieve what is right for the company or right for that project, and making sure that that goal is being met.
That's great. Aina, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, my thoughts are different. So I never seen pure agile implementation, and I hope that I will see it someday, at least not for now. So I've seen, like, let's say pure agile, but there's
Mm-hmm.
no 100% pure agile, like for a short period of time. But every time agile was collapsed by someone's ego. So we might have like one department running. Great agile methodology and mindset until there is a leader change. And then there are changes in the department, and there were a few times when this department was even closed by that leader who tried to move back to the rigid and bureaucratic mindset. Sometimes we have young organizations who are kind of moving from startup to a large enterprise, but not that large and bureaucratic yet. So they need to move fast. They fight with the competitor, so they just must be agile, otherwise they won't survive. Until they reach the stage when they start hiring more middle management, they lose their agility. So these are my thoughts.
Okay, okay, really nice. I like the opposite thoughts and everything else. So this is bringing and making the fire in this discussion. So speaking about the agile and starting somewhere in the organization, probably is different if we start on a small project and something in the R&D, as you mentioned, Ina, in the IT. But can that be implemented on some different type of projects within the same organization? And where is the role of the PMO in that? Can PMO support that by giving the some governance, guidance, training, or maybe giving the support for one agile project that had success in one department to be lessons learned applied to the other project in the other department? So quickly, Ina, your thoughts, and then I would like to hear Carl on this.
Yeah, my thoughts are supportive to your thoughts, Milan. I see PMO is like playing crucial role on providing the guidance and training and actually coaching. So in this case, I see PMO as kind of like my role as an agile coach, but in this case, just as a coach for the organization to change and also guide maybe like new leaders or like people in the organization and try to align all the processes together and like people mindsets together and also embrace the transparency. And again, it's easy to say to embrace the transparency. In reality, is one of the most hardest things to implement. So this is where I see like the tremendous help and support from PMO.
That's great. Your thoughts,
And then
Carl?
just to build on that, I think the PMO's value will be helping organizations define their goals, manage their priorities, and track their progress. Because 9 times out of 10, um, uh, sometimes the PMO or the VPs or the CEOs, they're blind themselves. They don't know what the goal is, and so everybody in the organization is still scrambling and trying to find that
Yep.
vision as well. And then you come to these backlog meetings where you have like 2,000 uh, tech debt issues and task lists. Nobody really knows what we're going to do, and so I think the PMO has to have that relationship with the C level or our top management, and then really define the goals, and manage the priorities. Then the people on the floor will be able to know what they should work on, and then that will trickle the effect of delivering value to the organization. And then I guess one more thing that I want to emphasize is, as agilists, all of us are, we need to have a working software or product. Okay, because not, I've seen it time and time again that people tend to forget that you have to deliver a working product. It's not accumulating tech debt. It's not giving no value for your customers, but it's a working prototype, product, whatever you call that in your organization. So keep that in mind, and your customers will love you for that, or your stakeholders, in that regard.
Thank you, Carl. I'm reading really similar to your thoughts. The comment in the chat, it says the product has to be compliant, but the process of developing or implementing can be agile. So in the end, we know what we should deliver, and the ultimate results is the value that we are bringing, creating, and delivering, and we can choose the path or the way how we're gonna come to the end. So Hussein, so in your experience, what are the common challenges that PMO is facing in the adoption of the agile, and how those ones can be overcome?
Wow, that's $1 million question, right? So I think the biggest challenge is firstly, the education piece. Do people really understand what they mean when they're asking for agile? Again, is it the capital A agile or is it the small a? And then, to Aina's point, to what scope of work? Is it for certain, is it a time-based adoption? Is it a outcome-based adoption? Is it focused on a certain department or a group of departments, right? And if that's the case, if there is opaqueness there, the PMO's role is to first define the clarity, define the goal, and what is driving the need for agility or being agile. Is it because the competitors are doing it? Is it because is the buzzword in the market? Is it because you have a new executive who saw it working in his previous organization or her previous organization and wants to get it implemented in this organization? What's the driving factor behind it? So firstly, it's the education of it. And then it is understanding, okay, once we have that alignment, then to achieve that purpose, what are the process, people, tools that are needed to make that happen? And then identifying perhaps a couple of pilot initiatives and then rolling it out iteratively. So first testing out agile and or the notion of agile for that specific scope for the organization, for the type of projects there, and then making sure that, okay, is this working? If not, what are the nuances that are working well for us? And then we can start taking those lessons learned again in true agile fashion and then building it out to the rest of the organization or to whatever the defined scope of work is. But I think the biggest thing that the PMO can do here is keep the executive's ambitions in check if it is truly driven by if it's truly driven by the executive, and showing him or her the true reality of what stage the organization currently is in, and then go with that. So again, the whole fundamentals of let's learn how to crawl, then walk, then run, right? And for any sort of growth in this area, I feel like that the stages that we need to follow are, let's start getting things done, then getting them done consistently, and then getting them done consistently and efficiently. So if it's adoption of agile, this is the concept that we've got to face. And so maintaining the education, keeping the ambitions of the executives in check, providing the necessary resources, which is the people, process, tools, and then managing that change across is the fundamental role that the PMO needs to
So I
play.
have that's great points. I really like how you came to this point. So I really I'm eager to find out who is that one who will make sure that something that the education is happening, that the knowledge transfer is happening, that one thing that was applied to one piece of the organization is applied to the other one. So related to the question that Gus asked, or his thoughts that he put here, he says that it's fairly easy to start with the Agile or implement in one flavor and have a Scrum Master, Product Owner, Agile coach. But organizations that are not mature a lot, so it's moving this one, PMO needs to be champion in the growth mindset. I want to hear quickly fast thoughts from all three of you about that one. Is that true? As the PMO should be that one, and is a PMO the one that should initiate that one? And how we can come to the PMO and tell them, guys, we expect this from you.
So I can go first if you like. So
Sure.
I think the clear delineation of roles and responsibilities is really important here, right? The PMO is not playing the executioner role here. The PMO should not play the role of a Scrum Master, an Agile coach, a Kanban, SRM, or whatever have you. Should, based on what I said earlier, Agile adoption should be in place. And if the PMO is taking on the role of leading that adoption, it needs to have a team. And that team includes having the Scrum Masters, the Agile coach, the Kanban SRMs. Think of this entire adoption of Agile within an organization as a project itself. You've got a sponsor who is that executive. You have the project manager, in this case, played by the PMO. You have team members, in this case, the Scrum Masters, Agile coaches, and other elements that are other people that are needed within the organization, and then you run down the gambit based on that. So the PMO's role is not to lead projects in an agile way. The PMO's role is to make sure that people who should be leading projects in an agile way are able to do so.
Awesome. Awesome, Hussein. Carl, the same question, quick thoughts.
Sure.
And then we are jumping to the last one, conclusion. We have 3 more minutes.
Okay, I would say that it has to be going both ways because there's always blind spots and hindsights. People on the top level executives, they can see something that maybe people on the floor cannot. And there are also things that people on the floor can see, and they have to be the eyes and the ears of management. So I would just say it goes both ways, that PMOs and its employees and should work together.
Great. Aina?
Yeah, I can quickly add to this. So I totally agree that PMO is not executing, so it's helping the organization to execute. But when you don't execute, it means you mostly observe. And when you observe, it's also helpful to remind people about the human side, because we are talking about strategy, we are talking about different frameworks, but in this transformation, we normally forget about our users, about people who we deliver this project for. And recently I asked the team, so we just launched the project. Are you excited? Obviously, everybody were excited. So then I asked, are you excited because we are just, the project is done? Or are you excited because we finally delivered something valuable to people? And this is where people paused. And one person told, I actually forgot that my neighbor is actually using the product we just launched a few days ago. So now I feel like not just relieved that we finished work and need to work less hours, but also that we actually doing something valuable, and not just for the organization, but just for people. And I also see PMO or Agile coaches or Agile portfolio management as kind of a coach for the organization on this side. So don't forget humans behind the organization.
That's awesome. So I think we demystified certain things that probably we had before this panel and this conversation. So there is no strong boundary between those two. They can overlap, they can coordinate, they can communicate, they can work together, and they can ultimately deliver together. But definitely there is a possibility of each other in the same organization. So quick final thoughts from all 3 of you, not more than 2 sentences, but I wanna those thoughts to be related to the current situation, changes that we have in technology right now happening in 2023. How is that impacting both sides, or I will say all 3 sides, leading the projects, project manager role, PMO role, or implementing Agile? Is that something, is that technology that we currently seeing, like a generative AI, chat GPT, and implementing AI in a different kind of tools, is embracing the implementing the agility, or it's surpassing it? So Aina, your final thoughts, then Carla and Hussein.
So organizational change management, and agility, portfolio management, based mostly on the communication. So it really depends how experienced the person who is leading this is and how well this person communicates. So artificial intelligence, ChatGPT and other tools can definitely help you with that. For example, we are having like 45 minutes already. So if we use one of the artificial intelligence, we would ask to summarize the meeting and maybe create bullet points. So it's like highly beneficial and just saving my time. Also, you notice that English is not my first language. So when I need to communicate something to the executive, I used to spend lots of time like reading and reading again and polishing my grammar. Now I just throw it to ChatGPT and ask, polish my grammar, and it's 1 second and it's done. So it's helping me to enhance my communicational skills, but so definitely not suppressing, but I wouldn't say that we need to be scared that artificial intelligence will take our job or like replace us as humans in the communication.
Thank you, Aina. Appreciate everything. Appreciate all your thoughts and the time that you share with us. Carl, final thoughts?
No one can replace humans. I think with my phone and my laptop and everything else that comes with new technologies, they will always be my tools, and I am the catalyst for change. And so I think humans will never be going away, and these tools will serve us to become more efficient and effective project managers. So let's use it to our advantage and become a catalyst for change.
Thank you, Carl. Appreciate it. Hussein, final thought?
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely echo what Aina and Carl just said. ChatGPT, generative AI, any sort of AI technology is nothing but another resource. Think of it as another resource to you. Use it to help you be better, right? Especially with AI coming in, the fact is that it should be embraced as a welcome change because it takes care of a lot of things, or it will take care of a lot of things that project managers and PMO leaders usually run away from, such as meeting minutes, such as creating a lot of documentation, such as following up, such as thinking of the repeated tasks and creating the repeated schedules again and again. AI can do that for you. So you can definitely be agile with a small a in all of those things. But with that comes changing expectations, right? So not only will not be now expected to just focus on these documentation creation, following up, but rather spending more and more time with motivating people, getting quicker decisions, realizing making people realize what the true reason why we started the project are, focusing more on how we can focus on achieving the project outcomes versus focusing on the project outputs. And so the nature of expectations will change. And so, to Aina's point and to Carl's point, focusing on communication, focusing on dealing with people, and excelling that is going to be more and more of an expectation from project and PMO leaders than is emphasized today.
Thank you. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Aina, Hussein. Wonderful thoughts. So let me just say the final rule. So let's all be open for the change. Let's embrace the change, whether it's a tool, methodology, is it an approach, whatever it is, let's be open for it. Let's start small and ask for the feedback and then continue if the feedback is the right. Thank you, everybody. Please join now to the closing session. Don't leave after this one. We have the final closing session since almost 24 hours of this conference is done. Thank you, everybody. See you next year.
Thank you.
Bye.